Golgo 13 was a manga about an assassin for hire. Although it's still in print today, its height popularity was back in the 1970s. Its longevity no doubt helps it boast the title of second highest selling manga series of all time. That being the case, it of course sparked a ton of adaptations to other forms of media. A couple of live-action films, an anime television series, and 6 video game titles. The game we're going to be looking at here is the second video game adaptation for the series, Golgo 13, Top Secret Episode. So the game starts out with a light intro about how a helicopter was shot down over New York with a biological weapon on board. Someone has stolen the vaccine, and naturally, since it's the 1970s, the KGB must be somehow involved. Right away, you're dropped into the streets where you're supposed to start piecing things together on your own by traveling around and meeting with your top secret connects. And I quickly got this Mario is missing vibe. Walking around aimlessly, going in and out of stations and buildings. But the game answered right back to my sense of aimlessness with more aim than I could handle. And with little warning. You're abruptly tossed into these little first-person sequences randomly and often, where you have to shoot at enemy agents and helicopters. This can become somewhat of a hassle after a while, especially if you're lost or backtracking. And if you got my Mario is Missing comparison earlier, and if you've played it, you know there's plenty of being lost and backtracking to go around. Not to say that this is a bad game. Once you get a feel for how it's meant to be played, it can be quite fun and challenging. The game mixes up genres to create something I've never really encountered before. 1 minute you're side-scrolling, either walking or scuba diving, or in a helicopter shoot 'em up, and the next you're in this first-person shooter/dungeon crawler type deal. It sounds odd, but it actually works for the top secret espionage, James Bond movie type aesthetic they're going for. At the beginning of the game, you'll notice a number 1 in the bottom left corner. Then, each time you die, it goes up by 1. Number 2, number 3, and so on until you reach number 52. And then after that, it's game over. These are intended to be played out as though each play were an episode in a limited television series, or perhaps as issues in a limited series comic book, since the game's title character originates in Japanese manga. This is a pretty cool and original idea, I think. You may think that 52 is quite a lot of plays for a game, but if you're new to this game, it'll kill you plenty. Something that really stood out to me was the amount of sexual themes and violence in this game. Not to say that it's a really overbearing aspect or anything, but it's just odd to see that from a Nintendo game of this era. There's one scene where Golgo 13 and the female agent Cherry Grace have their silhouettes embrace in a hotel window before turning out the lights. Clearly a bit much for Nintendo. There's also this one sniper mode mission in East Berlin where enemies are seen briefly bleeding from the head when killed, despite Nintendo's prohibition on graphic violence and gore. But all in all, Golgo 13 is a very interesting game, to say the least. A real hardcore challenge on the NES for sure. If you're looking for something a little James Bondish on the NES, go grab this game. You won't be disappointed.